At the Pasadena Area Community College District. Ms. Thompson, will you take the roll?
Ms. Waugh.
Here.
Dr. Silvage.
Here.
Dr. Fellow.
Here.
Ms. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Hilsman.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Osterling.
Here.
Ms. Bond.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the board on any closed session item? Seeing no one, at this time, we will now adjourn to closed session. We have two items, conference on labor negotiation with Labor Negotiations Agency Designated Representative Dr. Rajan Verdian, unrepresented employees, Assistant Superintendent, Senior Vice President, General Counsel, Executive Director, Associate Vice President positions. Second item will be on Government Code 54957, Evaluation of Employee Superintendent President. The meeting of the Board of the Pasadena Area Community College District will now come to session. There is no reportable items in closed session. So at this time, I guess we're doing the Pledge of Allegiance. So let me have Trustee Martin. Can you do the pledge?
Will you please rise? If you'll join with me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any introductions and recognitions? Dr. Verdian?
Well, today we have the joint meeting with the Associated Student Government, and we have all our student leaders in the audience with us today.
Yes, happy to see you. Okay, do we have any public comments on non-agenda items? Dr. Fellow?
I believe we do have a number of requests on dealing with the Veterans Clinic, which is not an agenda item. So we'll begin with that. And Stephen Rich and Magdalena Castillo up on deck.
Please come to the
And
podium.
again, you have 3 minutes.
When the yellow light flashes,
Good evening.
I believe Dr. Fellow will signal you that you have 1 minute left. Go ahead. Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, I would just like to say thank you to the Board of Trustees and everyone who's here to hear us out today. I'm here on behalf of the Veterans Club. We work out of the VRC, and we're here to talk about the VA clinic that was supposed to be built on this campus that was in the works 2 years ago, and we all have our own individual questions that we'll be presenting to you. My question is, Dr. Verdeen has said that PCC is worried about liability issues and being sued by someone who's coming onto campus to go to the VA clinic. We want to know how come there isn't this level of fear about lawsuits when hundreds of children come during the summer to swim in our swimming pool for only $1. Not to mention the non-students that come on campus to get their teeth cleaned during the flea market every Sunday. Even at football games, there's not this level of worry about lawsuits on people who are not PC students or staff coming onto this campus. Are veterans somehow more at risk than other populations of Pasadena and our neighboring areas? Why are veterans being targeted right now over all of these others that come to campus? Most veterans are pretty vigilant. We don't walk around texting. We don't get distracted easily by things that are not in front of us. So we as the veteran community of this campus are a little confused as to what that statement means by fear of lawsuit against a veteran coming onto this campus who's not a student or staff. On top of that, if a veteran does get hurt on this campus, he is protected by the VA medically, so their liability to sue is not that high considering the fact that they do have medical insurance covered by the VA clinic that would be here initially. So we're kind of confused on that point specifically. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you. Magdalena Castillo, and next would be Max Dane.
Thank you, Board, for letting me speak, and I express my thanks for the services that PCC has provided for the student veterans. My question is, we would like to know why it took 2.5 years to finally determine there couldn't be a VA clinic on our campus. To follow that, I would just like to mention that as a PCC veteran, a student veteran, I and my peers will be at this school for 2 years, maybe 3 at the most. We're not here for a personal agenda. We are here to ensure the future of our fellow veterans who will be making this tough transition from the military to student life, and this is for them. So I hope you can give us a response on that. Thank you again.
Thank you. Max Dane, and then Edwin Lopez.
Hello, my name is Max Dane, native here of the San Gabriel Valley. Been a PCC student. I'm about to transfer out thanks to some of the wonderful staff that is here, so I want to thank them for that. I'll be attending Cal Poly Pomona in the fall, my first choice school. I'm very excited. However, being a veteran here, hearing about all the things that were supposed to be done, things that want to change. I mean, PCC has had truly a golden opportunity to just set the standard, for the nation. Speaking of the VA, it could be joint agency work. The veterans program here is wonderful, but of course there always is some room for improvement. But the wrong people kind of seem to have the wrong idea about what they want to do, and Ms. Carol Calandra and Ms. Patty Martin have done a wonderful job running the program. Seems like there's a lot of people that kind of want to take just a little bit more advantage. They want to take advantage of their success to try and throw their name on it. So in the in the engine that is progress, it seems to be that there's quite a few people at PCC that want to make sure the key never gets into the ignition.
Thank you.
Also, additionally, for the VA center here, I live in an area that's heavy retirement area. I live right near a retirement community. We have a lot of World War II vets that are still around. Unfortunately, as I'm sure a lot of people know in this country, are elderly. They're not treated very well. So for them to go out to the west side or even down to Commerce is actually quite a big deal. Talking to the people I see around the neighborhood wearing their standard old guy veteran hats, I'm sure everybody here has seen. I've told them, hey, yeah, we're trying to work on getting a VA center at PCC. And, from the older veterans that can no longer drive, the other guys that can't simply afford cars, PCC is a good central location for them to take the bus to. Now, when I see those guys, I'm going to have to tell them the truth. And it's just really heartbreaking because there was a lot of people that weren't just students, but that were really, really looking forward to finally having a VA center here in the San Gabriel Valley.
Thank you, man. Next, Edwin Lopez, followed by Harold Martin.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Edwin, and I'm the president of the Veterans Club. I'll go straight into my question. What is the board and the PCC administration going to do now to help facilitate the VA clinic elsewhere in Pasadena? Is there some obligation to try and make this happen since they're responsible for the holdup, which has denied local veterans all this time? We are members of the local VFWs, American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, and Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, all groups that donated money to this clinic project. Many of us will find it hard to forget this botched situation when it's time to vote. Also, while PCC can return donated money, how does it plan to make up for the lost goodwill that had been extended to our campus by those donors and voters that support veterans? How will your decisions impact future decisions to this campus? Also, I would like to hear from you guys real soon. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Harold Martin, followed by Mark
Castagnon. Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to you this evening. I'm Harold Martin. I've been advising the Veterans Club here for the last 10 years, teaching the transition courses for veterans for the last 8 years. And on a daily basis, I'm interacting with our student veterans, so I've got a pretty good handle in terms of their problems and situation. And so I'm speaking here not on my behalf, but on their behalf. Okay, first of all, I don't think the matter with regards to the Veterans Clinic or the expansion of the VRC that was promised 3 or 4 presidents of PCC ago, and by other board members as well as some of you. It's not that kind of a matter. This is not an administrative issue tonight. This is a moral issue. There are sins of omission and there are sins of commission. And the moral issue I'm referring to is the fact that this country went to wars, not just war, but went to wars. And hundreds of thousands of young American men and women were expected to serve in those wars and conflicts. They put their lives on hold, their careers on hold, their educations on hold, their dreams on hold in order to answer the country's call. They put themselves in harm's way for us. They're different than other students. They're different from other Americans. The moral issue is, what do we owe them for what they've done for us, what we've asked them to do? And one of the ways we can respond, other than simply thanking them for their service, is to not drag the feet. That is the sin of omission. 2.5 years been waiting for an expansion that was promised, and it hasn't taken place. That's too long. As former members of the military, we know what leadership looks like. And we also know what the opposite of leadership looks like as well. We want to see more leadership, the kind of leadership that was here for some time, for a number of years, that made this sort of the Cadillac in the country in terms of serving student veterans. And we've lost that mantle now. And it's time to regain that. It's time to regain the lost ground. We can never pay back the 2.5 years of missed services that we denied our students because people were talking about a VA clinic and not just putting their foot down and saying, no, they don't want it or they can't do it. God knows who these lawyers are that are employed both by the VA and PCC. But I don't think any of us in this room would want to have a legal staff or legal representation that spends years haggling over something that apparently was a very simple matter to resolve in the end. But that dragging the feet there, 2.5 years, directly impacted, not indirectly, directly impacted the service that we could have delivered, the accomplishments students could have earned, and it really, we're not number 1 anymore, we're not number 2, and unless the board is serious and the administration is serious in terms of recouping the image and the standard and the reputation that they had, then we're going to slip even further. But it's not about reputation, it's about a debt. It's about a moral obligation. This country went to war, and nobody was prepared for these veterans coming back. Not the VA, not the medical community, not the mental health community, and not higher education, and not the economy. Is my time up?
Yes.
My time is up. So I would, in my last parting shot, or whatever you want to call it, my last remark is, I want to see some sort of what we call in the military a sense of urgency. We know what the opposite of that looks like, too, now. It's a result of 2.5 years of nothing happening.
Mark, and then Patrick Reagan.
Good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Mark, and thank you guys for allowing me to speak today. I am the past president of the Pasadena Veterans Club here on campus. I've been here for 3 years. I'm majoring in chemical engineering. I love it here. Hopefully someday I'll leave. My question is, there has been a huge lack of transparency in this whole process and almost no shared governance, which was an issue in the accreditation review, I believe. No one has seen any agreement with the VA and PCC we're working on, not even the fundraising committee, and this was confirmed by them. After more than 2 years, we were finally told that PCC cannot sign a revocable license. When can we hear from the VA, the PCC lawyers, and the PCC insurance company to tell us why this can't be compromised? Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick, and then Cindy O'Hara.
Once again, I'd like to thank the ladies and gentlemen of the board for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight. I hope my words will not only resonate within the board tonight, but with PCC as a whole. When asked, Dr. Verdeen said that PCC would return hundreds of thousands of dollars raised for the clinic. My question is PCC also going to pay back the interest on that money that the various donors have lost while it was tied up sitting around due to PCC's failure to act? That's all I have.
Thank you. Cindy, and then Christopher Villalobos.
Yes, to the board president and members of the board of trustees, and to the president, Dr. Verdeen. Hello, my name is Cindy O'Hara. I'm a student veteran here at PCC. Regarding the cancellation of the proposed VA clinic here on the Pasadena City College campus, many of us are disappointed, heartbroken, and utterly frustrated with the board of trustees. The inaction and indifference of the board are just disgusting. The past 4 presidents at PCC just didn't give their verbal support. They put their words into action. They gave us a VRC, a Veterans Resource Center. They gave it a budget and the personnel to staff it. Now that the VA clinic at PCC has been canceled, it is time to resurrect the expansion of the VRC. The expansion was put on hold when the VA clinic was being considered. Even after overcoming the major hurdle of raising funds for the clinic, now the project gets canceled. Here are some examples of the existing situation at the current VRC facility. Even this afternoon, there were 2 students being tutored. We had a number of students trying to discuss class notes and discussion and assignments. We had a number of students using the computers, and we even had a brand new student who wants to attend PCC for the summer, and he wanted to discuss and find out how to apply for his GI Bill benefits and his vocational rehabilitation benefits if possible. Let's expand the VRC now. We need to know when the expansion will begin, and it must be immediately. The VRC wants to provide even more vital services to PCC's student veterans than it already is. Help make the expansion of the VRC happen now. Now is the time for action. Now is the time to begin the expansion of the VRC. Now is the time to give us a date when the VRC expansion will occur. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Christopher Villalobos and then Cesar Jimenez.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Christopher Villalobos. You guys already might start recognizing my face from coming here quite a few times already. I just want to enlighten you for a second. A few of the mottos that in the military, or for the Army in particular, has is loyalty, duty, and selfless service. This is about the 3rd time that you guys have seen me here already, and this won't be the last time if this continues. One of the biggest issues we have is this lack of information and not being able to get a direct response, maybe having someone come down and talk to the veterans as a whole. It seems that we have to come to you to get answers to our questions. So my main question is, there are other college campuses that do have the VA agreements, revocable licenses for mental health services. Why then is it such an impossible task to accomplish here at PCC? Why didn't the VA its own lawyers, as well as PCC, detect these issues over 2 years ago? Seems that nobody seems to want to answer these questions for us directly. I just want you guys to know that this won't be the last time you guys see of me, nor of my fellow veterans. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Thank you. Cesar Jimenez.
Good afternoon. My name is Cesar Jimenez. I'm Vice President of the Veterans Club. I'm a 26-year veteran. I would appreciate if the board is writing notes on an iPad that they are actually paying attention to us veterans. Just like when we're in class, we're paying attention to your teachers. Thank you. I'd like to start off by saying that President Verdeen was told to say that veteran students are no different than other average students. I disagree with you, President. Veteran students are clearly much different than the average student. We go to war while your average student is home studying. We're doing the job that other people may not want to do. The implication to many of us is that he doesn't think student veterans should enjoy the benefits or advantages beyond what any other student should receive. Disappointed in that. Unlike the average student, the veteran has had to postpone his education for more than 4 years, maybe 5 or 6, because they have to answer the call to their country. That might sound to you people Like, what does that have to do with me? But until it affects you personally with your family, maybe then you'll realize how important us student veterans are. About 25% of the veterans are from outside the area, so they lack resources and close family social support that the local student has. A lot of student veterans need special support to stay in and do well in school. We've seen what happens to veterans coming back from Vietnam and the Gulf War. Including higher education doesn't provide the support they need in a timely manner. The President of the United States and the Chancellor of community colleges would disagree with you, President. Many assisting returning veterans is higher education, one of the most top priorities for the President of the United States. If he heard what you said about us of student veterans here at Pasadena City College, he would definitely probably call attention to what you said about your student veterans. Added to the list, the governors of California, another entry has made serving veterans their top priority. Please stop thanking us for our service and start acting. You're there in the positions that you're in because the voters in this city, and you can easily be replaced.
Thank you.
We will be back next month and the following after that until you really take us seriously. Thank you very much.
The final two, Alicia McClamrock and Martin Enriquez.
Hello, good evening. My name is Elisa McClamrock, and I'm a student, but I'm also a veteran. And before I continue, I just want to take the opportunity to express my gratitude for everybody that's here, board members, president, student body, everybody here to listen to our issues and give us the time of day. We really do appreciate it. But unfortunately, the time has come for a change. And every time an issue comes up, we kind of get put on halt. And it's just not acceptable. Because of the lack of urgency presented with the proposed VA healthcare clinic, I implore the Board of Trustees to motivate Dr. Varudin, the current president, to meet with the PCC student veterans for an open forum discussion to allow the voices of the current student veterans to shed light on what their needs are for themselves, for the current students, but also, more importantly, for the future student veterans that will be coming to this school, because there are going to be more veterans leaving the wars. They're not ending. They're not going to disappear. We're not going to go away. So we need a response. Please allow the opportunity for the voices of these men and women to be heard. Give us a day, time, location, and let us together help these future student veterans. Thank you.
Thank you. Martin Enriquez.
Good evening, Board of Honorable Trustees and assembled persons. I, Martin Enriquez, will read into the record a portion of Article 21 of the California Constitution, specifically subsections B, D, E, in whole or part. I have been addressing this Honorable Board of Trustees since 1982, 34 years. On the issue of redistricting, I first reported to the BOT in 1991, now 25 years. I've been researching this and looking into it, and trying to edify the Board of Trustees and all those in attendance as the importance of the franchise and the sanctity of yours and mine, of being the populace of a democratic republic. If there's time, I will make commentary on the issue. California Constitution Article 21 on reapportionment of the Senate, the Assembly, Congressional, and the Board of Equalizations, which is also true of our local school board, PCC, and other city government. Subsection B, the population of all districts of a particular type shall be reasonably equal. D, districts of each type shall be numbered consecutively, commencing at the northern boundary of the state and ending at the southern boundary. E, the geographical integrity of any city, county, or city and county, or of any geographical region shall be respected to the extent possible without violating the requirements of any of the other subdivisions of this section. In reference to E, the elementary attendance areas of Pasadena Unified School District are by definition a geographical region. All my research indicates that this district has not followed the E subsection since its founding. On the D subsection of commencing at the northern boundary and ending at the southern boundary has also not been practiced for 50 years. I think it's time that we follow the Constitution of the state of California, the Supreme Court decisions that I have emailed the board, inundated the board and its redistricting partners, Inc. in 2011, 2015, 2014, 2015, and of the various maps, physical maps that I've been dropping off at the superintendent's office, giving the associate vice president also a set of copy. Thank you, Mr. Miller. And again, I do want to mention something.
Please come to an end.
There's only 5 scanners on campus. 2 of them work, and the D building is freezing. We need climate control. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes the public comment on the non-agenda items. And now we will begin item D, the joint meeting with the Associated Student Board. Presentation by the students. President Irving.
Good evening, President Wah and Board of Trustees. First of all, I do want to introduce my board. Starting to my left, I do have our Chief Justice, Stephen Stark. Follow that, we have Stephen Didering. And then we have Julia Russo, our Vice President for Student Services. Ricardo Patlin, which is our Vice President for Academic Affairs. On my right, I have Emily Melder, our Vice President for Internal. And then I have Joshua Mantrop right here, which is our Vice President of Public Relations. Vice President Christopher Langstaff, which is for Business Support. And then we have Eric Ojeda, which is our Vice President for Campus Activities. And last but not least, Gilbert Liu, which is our Vice President for Academic Affairs. Starting off, we're going to start with our Rosemead Transportation, which our Vice President for Student Services, Julia Russo, will start. Julia, do you mind?
Of course. Would you like me to stand?
Oh, we can speak from here.
To speak here? Okay, great.
Unless you guys prefer us to stand and
Would you
talk.
like me to stand?
Up to you.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Hello, guys. As Irving said, my name is Julia Russo, and I am the Vice President for Student Services. I'd like to thank all of you guys for having us here today. Thank you, the Board of Trustees, President Trustee Wah. This year, Associated Students has worked to champion the fact that PCC Rosemead is our campus. In order to continue building the bridge between our 2 campuses, the Executive Board recently visited our PCC Rosemead campus. We spoke with Dean Therese Ritana regarding her concerns as director of the campus. In addition, we held an agendized board meeting, which was open to our students. Though this is a mere start, Our board is passionate about continuing to build stronger ties between our two campuses. In building this relationship, an issue we've found time and time again when working with our students has been transportation. Associated Students has found that it is a legitimate concern with our lack of transportation options between the two campuses. I speak on behalf of our students when I say adequate transportation plays a crucial part in student success. Our board has explored options from using shuttles to carpool and zip car services. We will continue to look at the implications of this concern, but we hope that in the near future, we can work alongside the Board of Trustees to find an ultimate solution. Thank you guys so much.
President Verdine, did you want the board members to ask any questions, or you want to do your presentations first, and then if there's any questions from the board?
If you guys want to ask questions, that would be great, so we could follow up with the report.
Any questions from the Board of Trustees? Okay, well.
Sure. I'll ask a question. On transportation between the main campus and Rosemead, have you done any sort of a survey of the students that attend there and what how many of them also take classes here? And for the ones that do, what kind of transportation they use? I'd be interested in what they...
Sure, of course. I'm going to bring this question to my president.
So that's something we have. Julia, Student Services, and I can work on for the future, and also bring it up for the new board that's coming up. This is some concerns that we have heard from our students actually that have came up to us. So that's something that we have been bringing up.
Right. This is more a matter of what we've heard directly from our students. So a survey would definitely be the next step for us.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I got
I'm sorry.
questions / comment.
Trustee Martin.
So appreciate the topic, especially because I obviously represent Rosemead, so I'm clapping in front of the parade for you. And I would hope that the campus administration, student services can work with the AS student services to tag team, and maybe there's a way that we can, and the survey data could be helpful here, work together with Metro to see if there's a way to encourage them to move a few bus lines or have I know, for example, there's express buses to various places, El Monte Station to Long Beach and things like that. So there may be a way that we could lobby the Metro for some kind of service that goes not just up Rosemead, but up Rosemead Boulevard and over. So I wouldn't rule that out as one of our options. So I love all your zip cars and all that other stuff you're thinking. That's great.
Great, thank you.
Okay, no other questions from the board? Go ahead, proceed, President Morales.
Okay, President Wall, we're going to move on then to our universal tap card, which is, I'm going to hand it to Ricardo Palin, our Vice President for External Affairs.
Borrow this mic here. Thank you again for having us here tonight. It's pretty cool. My heart's pounding pretty hard, which is kind of strange. I didn't think I'd be this nervous. But anyway, so I'm here to present to you guys about the Universal Transit Pass. As you know, our ITAP program is no longer on the table for PCC. So right now, myself, Dean Cobb, Move LA as well are in the works of renegotiating a contract, not only specifically for PCC, but for a countywide Universal Transit Pass. We are currently trying to cultivate multiple options, both for PCC and for the county. Something that I can speak to with a little more authority, though, is the PCC Student Lobby Committee is taking a deep-rooted interest in AB 2222, which is the bill sponsored by Assemblyman Chris Holden. This bill would effectively ensure free transportation, or at least heavily subsidized free transportation for all post-secondary level education students. That includes community college students, Cal States, and UCs. This is something, I know it's been kind of been in the air. A lot of different districts have been talking about it. It's been, the potentiality of drafting a resolution has been, at least my understanding is that it has been circulated. So I would strongly encourage the Board of Trustees to consider that. I know that our board will be doing so, and the lobby committee in which I chair will continue to do research and do lobbying at the Capitol. We are going to be doing a trip on the 22nd of April. We're going to be visiting various different sitting members on appropriations, as well as our local representatives who are kind of required to see us, so we get to annoy them. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have for you. I hope that you can trust that we're all working hard to ensure that our students have affordable and accessible transportation. I think that's all I have for you. If you have any questions.
And I know President Wall has been working very hard
Right,
on this.
and thank
I really want to
you again.
appreciate
Yeah.
that, President Wall.
I did have a question. Thank you for all the work you're doing on this. It's extremely important for our students and in fact, for the whole community college community in California. Can you tell us what the status of the bill is? Is it out of committee or where you're at?
It's not out of committee yet, so it's going to be going through appropriations. So that's why we're specifically targeting sitting members on appropriations.
And when is when is your lobbying meeting?
Well, our trip is going to be on the 22nd of April, which is next Friday. So we'll be going up early in the morning, spending the day there, and then coming back in the evening.
Great. Thank you.
Trustee Martin?
Well, I have a question, and I think you or someone can help fill it in, but I'll start with you, Carlos, because you seem to be the most knowledgeable. So heretofore, we had a deal where at least the full-time students, if I understand it correctly, were getting a subsidy.
Exactly.
And it was my understanding that we, like any good organization, tried to get a better deal so that the part-time students may also, and they didn't like that idea.
Right.
But why then would we not default back to at least our full-time students getting the same deal that we've had before? What happened there?
Well, I'm sure that might be an option, but the ITAP program specifically was taken off the table. That's not,
Related
that's
to
without
any
our
of that.
control. I'm sorry?
Yeah, and so why was ITAP taken off by the college or
No,
by them?
ITAP was taken off the table by Metro.
By Metro.
It was out of our control, yeah.
Okay, so it had nothing to do with our negotiations. I'm commingling those in my mind, but
No,
those are separate issues.
No, the thing was that the ITAP program was not revenue neutral, so they saw it in their best interest to take the ITAP
So
program
it
off.
wasn't just PCC in our individual negotiations, it was the whole
Yes.
program.
I believe
Okay,
so.
so that
Yes.
was something I didn't quite understand.
Sorry,
I
yeah.
thought it was unique
Sure.
just to us and well, let's just
No.
get in there and get back to where at least where we were.
No, it's not unique to us. And you brought up on a really good point is the direction in which we want to move. The ITAP program did not include part-time students, which is unfortunate because part-time students are often the students who need accessible and affordable transportation the most. They're the ones who have families to provide for and have other issues that they have to deal with that other full-time students may not have to deal with. So that's something that we would like to pursue. It's something that we're strongly encouraging Metro, not just PCC, but Move LA has been essential in this as well. We're trying to get all students to be included in this process or any potential program in the future. So that's the direction we're moving towards.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Osterling?
Quick question. If AB 2222 is passed, will it cover full-time and part-time students?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
So, how long ago was ITAP removed from the table?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
How long ago was ITAP removed from the table?
July.
Just
This
recently?
year. No, this year, yes, July of this year.
This academic year last year, right? So
they're gonna end.
Oh, no, yeah. So this year in July, it's going to be void.
So it is still in effect?
It is still in effect, yes, but for the following academic year, it is off the table.
Thanks.
Yes, sorry.
So I just wanted to thank you for all of your work that you did, and of course, it was many of you were there in Sacramento when Assemblymember Holden heard your advocacy for this issue, and so I'm really glad that he came forward to sponsor this. I want you to know that Dr. Verdian already wrote a letter to support this under his own signature under the Legislative Subcommittee of Trustees Osterling, Hilsman, and myself. We have also made a recommendation to bring forth a resolution from the board to support this, and I hope I know that you saw the information from Move LA. They're asking for all students to go out to your constituency and get as many letters out to Sacramento as possible, letting them know you support this. So good work, all of you. Thank you.
Trustee Wah. And Mr. Patlin will have to leave because he actually has class. So.
Excuse me. Thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President Wall, next up, we're going to talk about the smoke-free campus, and I'm going to pass it down to Stefan Diedering, which he will be actually giving you guys more information about this.
Hi, thank you guys for coming out here and giving us your time. So a few months ago, Associated Students teamed up with Health and Student Services to do the Great American Smokeout. It was an educational event about the harmful effects of smoking, and not only that, but its alternatives. And we had little quizzes out there, and we realized that most of the students there don't really know all that much about the alternatives of smoking. So that was a very positive experience, and we found out that also not a lot of students knew that there were resources to quit smoking, in a sense. But the main thing was that we found out that smoking was not really, the smoke-free campus was not being really enforced. So I hope to build bridges with campus police, and hopefully we can enforce the no smoking policy and also vaping and other alternatives of smoking. So yeah.
So,
Trustee Brown?
So I'm glad you did say what I've been thinking about, the smoking policy not really happening. I walk the campus and it kind of bothers me somewhat to see that we went through this long process to try to ensure our campus without smoking, but it's not happening. So what are you doing as students to help this out? Do you have support, or what kind of things are you doing?
Try to inform the students to call campus police if you do see smoking on campus, and not only that, but talk to the chief of police here at Pasadena, and hopefully get him to tell his officers to more strictly enforce smoking.
And President Wall, just something that we want to do is also help to enforce this policy, because I know as a board we passed this a couple of years ago. So I know President Wall, one of your trustees, actually mentioned this, and I thought it would be great to bring it up because this is very important. I know Stefan has been working very hard on this year, and hopefully before our transition or leaving, we could maybe build those bridges that we've been doing this whole year, and hopefully we can enforce that for the following years. Because yes, I do pass also around campus, and smoke does bug me when I'm passing by to my class, so I understand that.
Trustee Martin?
Well, I want to really commend you for stepping out on this and taking a leadership role. I've been a strong supporter of working with the students like we have for, I don't know, it seems like forever, but it's probably 6-8 years to get to where we have a smoke-free campus. And actually, my crusade on this started back when I was a PCC student here, and in speech class, we had to do an argumentative debate, and I did mine on the detriment of smoking. So I think I started back as a PCC student on this, and view the smoke-free campus as one of our greatest successes. And I think just hearing from you tonight, and the fact that, you know, these meetings are recorded, they make notes that go out to all campus. And hopefully, Alex, in the notes that you send out tomorrow, the students were saying how they want this enforced will be one of those notes that goes out to the whole campus, so not just the campus police, but everybody understands this is coming from the students who are trying to do, you know, not just better with their minds, but better with their entire life. So I want to encourage you to keep moving forward in this. I think you're right on the right track, and you've got 30 years of my support behind you.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask a question. So I know part of making anything happen is really whether or not you have the resources to enforce. And I know we also on campus have limited resources to enforce. So have you thought about if there are applications, like you can text and say, you know, a coordinate or I don't know, a site, or how would that happen? Because even if you report it to the police, I mean, unless they actually go out there, I don't know what they could do to actually stop it. Or you guys could gang up on them, I guess, and take their cigarettes.
Actually, that's a good question, President Wall, but this is actually nothing that we have looked up. So, for my belief, when I started, I thought there was a better enforcement on the smoke-free campus policy. So now that we actually have seen this past year, that it has not been enforced, maybe that's something that maybe we have to do also on our end, and maybe as talking to you guys, that's something like you, President Wall, maybe, and I can work on to make sure that we enforce this policy a little bit better.
I think I speak for the board and say we would all be happy to join in to help you.
Beautiful, thank you.
Trustee Wall.
Trustee Well?
I'd like to comment that the cadets actually can go to an actual officer, and the officer can issue out a ticket. I think the ticket is like a $20 fine or something, and so I think that would be one way to enforce it some more. Like just start handing out fines because no one wants to pay a fine.
So would we be able to authorize civilians handing out tickets?
They would still have to go report it to a cadet in order to take some sort of action to enforce it.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Thank you. Excellent report.
Thank you, Trustee Wah. And last but not least, Associate Students Annual Reports. Trustee Wah and on board, if you guys can see in front, you guys have a beautiful pamphlet that we've created for you to see. And some big highlights from my year was, first of all, as we all started, and Dr. Radian and most of us, for example, Dr. Foster also, which was building bridges between our departments, having a happy campus here. Something that I've worked very hard with my board was building a big bridge between a lot of our departments here in campus. For example, our health department, which we have helped out with a lot of events, and they have helped us a lot too. Also, helping them with our student health increase, which is something that we as students, student leaders, we thought it was a great idea, and also supporting our Veteran Center Clinic, which we also have supported in these past 2 weeks. So those are two big things that we've have been supported and voted on as student leaders. Some great events that some of my boards have done, talking about building bridges between departments. We've had tacos with counselors, which I think that's something very fun to have. Not only do we bring diversity, but to our food, we also bring counselors to our students, which helps them get any questions answers. As we can see, sometimes our counselors do get a little bit busy with students because they're trying to help them as much as possible. So having them in the quad while eating some tacos with our students, that makes it a little bit more fun and also easier to answer some questions. Something else that we've been working on was also, as we've mentioned, was the smoking and vaping event that we've also have hosted. That's something that we have done actually more than one time. So our students have known about this, and as I said before, the health department has also been helping us a lot this year. So I really appreciate that, as any department here on this campus. So those are some things that we've worked on. And events coming up, we do have Relaxation Week and other fun stuff that are coming up. So if you guys have, if you guys have any questions, you guys are more than welcome to talk to me about them.
It's a really nice pamphlet, and even Dr. Rudian was just saying how impressed he was with it. So yes, we can tell you've done a lot of work. And I want to say that even as you go on to your next goals, I've often talked to students, and so many of them who have been in your shoes in leadership have gone on to great leadership positions in their four-year colleges and then beyond. So great work, and I want to applaud all of you.
Thank you, President Wong, Dr. Vidian.
Trustee Osterling. I'm sorry,
Hilsman.
Trustee Helsman.
I'm one of the new guys.
One of the two new guys.
And thank you for the great work. And I've had an opportunity to meet some of you on lobbying trips and things. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been really educational for me. One of the things in the brief time that I've been here that I've heard from students, and one of the chief concerns was the cost of textbooks. And the possibility for more online resources for your text. Are you doing anything, any initiatives there that you're looking into, or any thoughts that you've given to that? I know there's efforts on the campus to move towards more online educational resources.
Trustee, we have not looked into that yet. So that's something we have, maybe we can see in the future, bring it up to the next board, but that's something we have not
Okay.
about that yet.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good question.
Yes, Mr. Morales, one of the things that my constituents have really hammered me with, and not so much right now, but when I was running, that was the ability to get the students getting the classes they need to keep to a schedule. Yes. Students, I was told students couldn't get the classes they needed to take, and it prolonged their time before they could get a degree or transfer and do all that. What's your sense presently? I know that we've made a lot of progress in this with pathways for the new incoming students and all that, but what sort of general impression do you have about how we're doing?
How we're doing as of
Students being able to get the classes they need to maintain progress toward the degree or the transfer, the certificate. I'm just asking about anecdotally.
Just actually, well, does anybody want to answer? Somebody have to
Sure,
say?
I'd love to answer. So yes, of course, that's been a concern. We are a 2-year institution, and sometimes we see that students stay longer. It's generally definitely happens. However, we have seen a lot of success through pathways. We definitely have seen that students have been progressing with, being able to enroll in classes earlier. So, for example, like me and a couple of others on the board will be able to graduate within 2 years, and I've seen that in speaking with a lot of our other students. So it's something we're definitely working towards continuously.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to ask, as a follow-up to our legislative visits, many of you reported out that one of the most difficult things for you was getting your counseling appointments or counseling support. How have you been able to work with that, or have you been able to find solutions that make it more effective and efficient?
Well, one of the solutions was actually talk with the counselor. So that was one of the things that we thought as a board that will help more of our students if they have any quick questions, because most of our students sometimes just go for a quick question. So talk with counselors actually helps them also just ask a question and, go out while other students come in. Also, we have another talk with the counselors coming up in 2 weeks, so that's also going to help them answer some of their questions. By going on that, it's not like we can say, we need more counselors. Maybe we can work with our counseling department and see maybe what's another easier way to get some of the smaller questions answered. I know actually they have little outside counselors which help them with the students. It's actually something I did see new, and I've seen students run a little bit more faster. So I haven't had too many complaints this past weeks about counseling. So I'm hoping we're doing good on that. So let's see what happens in the future.
Thank you. Do you normally take surveys just to see whether or not you have your finger on the pulse of improvements, or?
We haven't done a survey about that actually, President Wall.
Okay. Thank you very much. No other questions?
Actually, going back to the books, we are looking into it. Hopefully, we can find maybe something that helps actually our students with, find books online which are maybe cheaper or free. Sometimes in some other classes which they can get, but we are looking into finding better resources for our students because yes, we have a lot of students that do get affected by the expense of the books.
Trustee Martin?
I'd just make a closing comment on how impressed I am with this board.
Thank you.
Except for looking at you and seeing you're slightly younger in mannerisms and maturity, you're conducting yourself no different than our board, and focused on the right topics, working collaboratively, showing the colors and the PCCAS and the way you're promoting all that, and just many things I've seen over the last few years. So, I really want to say I've been here a long time. We've had a lot of great students, but you guys are right there. You're just definitely a sensational group, and I just am very encouraged having this meeting with you and appreciate you coming.
Thank you, Trustee Martin.
Well, I have to say that this is probably one of the most enjoyable meetings that the trustees all look forward to, is having this joint meeting with the AS, because as Trustee Martin has said, we're always so impressed and we're always very proud of our students. So thank you so much for all that you do in your leadership.
Thank you, President Wong. Thank you to the Board of Trustees.
Okay, so that concludes item D. We will now move on to item E, approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Trustee Fellow, second by Trustee Brown, is there any discussion, any corrections? Advisory vote?
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Approval of minutes passes unanimously. Approval of consent items. Are there any items that the trustees wish to pull for
Yes.
further discussion?
I had two items that I had one quick follow-up question each, and that's item B, 160297, and
197B?
B1629.
That's the contract number. Is it 197B or is it?
well, let's see, it's agenda item, it's the purchase contract for 160297, which is Academic Works software package.
I'm sorry, Trustee Osterlin, could you read that number again?
160297.
Okay, so under consent item B?
Yes.
197.
Okay.
097?
Correct. I had one
Yes.
question on that, and then also on agenda item 203B, which is the SBDC, I had a follow-up question on that.
Any other items to pull from consent?
I wanted to pull the one on the president's evaluation. So that's, I'm sorry, I didn't have it marked. Do you have that number?
Joe, you have the number for that, for the ACCT contract?
Yes. Let's see.
That's on
it's also 197B, and it's contract B160313 for Association of Community College Trustees. Is that it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
Okay, may I have approval for all remaining consent items minus B 197, 160297, 196096, and consent item 203B on the SBDC. Advisory vote?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to approve.
Motion
I'm
to
sorry.
approve.
So
Second.
Trustee Fellows,
Motion
second
to
by
approve, yeah.
second by Trustee Selvage. Any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. So we'll take the first item, Trustee Osterling.
Okay, so item 160297 was a software package, Academic Works, and the amount was about $19,000. And my question is that a one-time upfront expense to buy that software, or is that some type of an ongoing expense that we're going to incur each year?
I will ask Josie Maneshi if you could provide an answer to that.
One time. So Academic Works is part of our scholarship software program. I'm going to look to Bobby Abram just in case I misstate anything. She can correct me. But this is an ongoing software cost that the college has each year, and it helps us with our scholarship tracking and distribution.
Okay, thank you. And the next item I had, do you want me to move on? Is 203B, and this was a budget increase for the Small Business Development Center. And the question that I had on that, which wasn't answered in the responses, was does this activity, the SBDC, does that generate a positive or net income?
Dean Salomon Davila will provide us with the answer right now.
Hi, thank you. Good evening. The augmentation to the SBDC budget is due to the high performance of our center here as a satellite office of the regional SBDC centers. Currently, many other centers around Southern California may have not spent out their money, but because we do have the need and we have a successful center with our consultants, we've been asked to take on more metrics. So the money increase, the budgetary increase, just means higher metrics of consultation hours with small businesses and fulfilling either startups, job retention, or capital infusion to these small businesses. So we don't make necessarily any revenue, we just have higher metrics to meet with that money.
Okay, and was there a increase in the grant to conduct these additional activities, or we're just...
Correct. That is the increase in the grant
Okay.
augmentation. Correct.
Okay. So on a net basis, the grant money that we have coming in relative to the expenses we pay, what is the net of that activity?
PCC has to have at least dollar-to-dollar match at minimum. We more than exceed that. This augmentation actually is in our favor to decrease the amount of matching that we actually have percentage-wise.
All right. So I apologize. I'm somehow not communicating my question. What I'm trying to understand is what's our net cost to PCC or
okay.
net revenue, if that's the case,
Sure.
for the activity.
Well, we don't generate any revenue. We don't charge for this free consultation to our small businesses.
But you receive grants.
Correct.
Okay.
We receive grants to generate.
So the grants is your money coming in that case, and then you spend money providing the consulting services to the business.
Correct.
And the question is, what's the net of the grants minus the...
The net of the grants minus the...
Yes,
what PCC?
minus the costs we expend.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay.
So we would get typically around $75,000 a year. This augmentation was for $200,000 a year. So if you add those two together, it's $275,000 a year. PCC invests about $128,000 a year.
So that would be the investment you're referring to is the expenditures we incur that are not covered by the grants.
Correct.
Got you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So, Trustee Austin, are there any further questions on those items? So it's consent item B, 160, 297, and 203B with us too.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Trustee Fellow, seconded by Trustee Osterling. Any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously on those two items. So item 160923, is that correct? For the ACCT. So President Verdine, could you go ahead and give a report?
Well, on the basis of my contract, there is no feedback from any of the constituent groups on campus. That would be faculty, staff, management. The only group that, according to my contract, the only group that evaluates me is the Board of Trustees. But I have a conversation with the Board of Trustees based on feedback that the board has received from faculty and staff that they would like to provide input in the evaluation that the board does. So I have checked with council, and I am going to unilaterally provide consent to the board to modify one section of my contract that would allow the board to seek input from the various constituent groups on campus. So this item that is being pulled right now is to hire ACCT, which is the Association of Community College Trustees, that will conduct a survey of constituent groups on campus to receive input for the evaluation of the superintendent president. And the various groups that will be polled or surveyed will include, there will be one survey that will go to the board members with about 51 questions in that, and those questions also include the goals that the board had set for the superintendent president. And then there will be another set of questions of about 45 or so that will go to the Faculty Senate Board. Dr. Foster, I understand that the Faculty Senate Board is all the senators that represent the faculty at this college.
Correct.
And that would be about 32 or so?
Yes.
All right. And then it will go to the Classified Senate. That's you have about 20 members in that board, all right?
Correct, more or less.
Okay, and then it will go to the Faculty Association Executive Board, right, Dr. Cures? You have about 10 people or so in the Executive Board, all right? Then we'll go to the CSE Executive Board, the CFT Executive Board, the Police Officers Association Board, the Management Team Executive Board, and it will also go to the executive staff. Right. That is the people who report directly to me and attend the Monday morning meetings. So all that information will be collected. The timeline is that the board will provide some input on the questions that are in the survey by next Tuesday, and that will be sent to ACCT by April 15th. And ACCT at that point will compile everything and send them out to the lists represented here. And their expectation is that they would receive the completed survey by May 6th. And that will give them time to tally the results and so on and provide the Board of Trustees with their, how would you call that, with a summary of their findings. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. So, so you may remember that last board meeting, the board had approved that we would hire a consultant to do the president's evaluation this year. It's Dr. Verdian's first year. The board officers, Trustee Selvage, Dr. Fellow, and myself met, and we reviewed the 4 proposals which Dr. Verdian obtained from consultants to do this survey, and ACCT was found to be the lowest, most responsive bidder and was willing to expand the survey outreach, as Dr. Verdian reported out, and that was at the request of Dr. Foster at during our Academic Senate coffee. So we're very pleased that Dr. Verdian was so accommodating, and we hope this is something that you all appreciate too, his generosity. So we look forward to you all participating. So any other discussion on this item? So we'll approve item 160923 for the ACCT. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So Dr. Selvage, a second.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Trustee Brown. Any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
Vote for all other vote. All other. Oh my goodness.
All in favor.
All in favor, say aye. Oh my gosh, I need a drink.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Heavy lies the head that wears the crown.
Absolutely. I was so impressed with the AS students. I just yes, outshone by them. Okay, so this item passes unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Verdian, for so generously agreeing to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, item G, we have certification of signatures.
The departure of Dr. Miller, we have to make some changes in the signatures that are required for to sign documents on behalf of the district. So we're recommending that the board approves the changes that we are making right here to replace the signature of Dr. Miller.
Any discussion from the board? Sorry, Trustee Brown?
I move approval.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Brown, seconded by Trustee Hilsman. Any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, item H, approval of the student health fee.
Well, the recommendation is to have the board approve the increase of the health fee to $19 per regular semester. We have here to change the item. We have a...
Yeah, it's in our packet.
It's in the packet. Yeah. There was a typo in that. It goes from $16 to $19 per regular semester and $16 per intersession.
Okay, any discussion?
I have a number of questions.
Okay, Trustee Selvage.
Yes. What is the total amount of the additional fee revenue that we will collect?
I'm going to ask Mr. Joseph Manechi to provide the answer.
So with the projection of the headcount for next fiscal year, we're looking at the total revenue at these rates, intercession of 16 and semester at 19. The revenue would be $1.2 million, $1,270,000.
Is that new revenue?
Excuse me?
No, I'm talking about the new revenue.
The difference between what we have this year and next year?
1.2 million?
No. So the difference is about $360,000.
Okay. And the total budget is
$1.27 million.
Right.
And they work within that budget.
Mm. Yeah, the report said that we were drawing down on
a reserve fund. It says to use reserve funds which are now almost depleted. What reserve fund was that?
So it was not a reserve. It's the fund balance for the health center fee. So anytime a student registers for a class, they pay a health center fee, which is either the 19 or the 16, depending on the time of the year. Over the course of the last decade or so, there has been enough revenue coming in, and there has not been as many expenses going out. They use that revenue for equipment. They use it for new staffing. They use it to expand their program portfolio. But there was not a need for the full amount in previous years. Over the course of the last 2 or 3 years, we've expanded programs to the students, and therefore the fund balance each year was utilized to make sure that the budget was balanced.
Okay, so another way to put it was for a number of years back, we were collecting more money than we were spending on services. In recent years, we were spending more on services and equipment and that sort of thing than we had money coming in, and we were using the surplus that had accumulated. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
And I couldn't help but note that the fee hadn't been increased since 2004, and I know we're limited by the state limits how much we can charge, but we, even though the state limit had been increased, we had not.
That's correct.
Increased it, even in the years when we were drawing down on the reserve. I don't remember. I voted for a couple of budgets, but I don't remember anybody drawing my attention to the fact we were using a fee that was set 14 years ago, or 12, 14 years ago, and having to draw on reserves. How did that happen?
I'm not sure to answer the question. All I can say is that the budget that we have was enough for them to provide the services. In the last year or two, they have tapped into that fund balance to supplement the budget because they have the health center has expanded services. With the head count going up, they've expanded hours, they've provided more services. There was a salary survey that was done to make sure that we were competitive with other districts for the types of services that we are providing. So all of that accumulated into higher costs for the health center. Mm-hmm. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay. No other questions from the board? Okay. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Approved. Motion made by Trustee Fellow.
And I'll second it.
Seconded by Trustee Brown. Any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay. Item I, adoption of restated accumulation program for part-time and limited service employees.
We are requesting for the board to adopt this restated Apple program, and the funding to meet this contract obligation is included in the 2015 and 16 adopted budget.
Discussion by the board?
Yes, I just had a comment. This is a comment rather than a question. I had heard in the few short months that I've been here some discussion from different faculty groups about the Apple program and some difficulties that they'd had. So I did address to staff and got fairly extensive comments about the background of this program and also an interest in meeting with faculty groups to more fully explain what the program is, the pros and cons. But I just should say as a trustee that I'll be looking at this, I'll be looking forward to learning more about this program and how it's working as we go along. So thank you to the staff. Thank you to President Verdian for the information about this.
Trustee Brown?
This was actually something I really didn't know about, but I was very thankful to get all the additional information. It was very informative, and the concerns, I guess, that they had with faculty were addressed. And if I'm not mistaken, that you're arranging to have Keenan, I think it is, that's going to come and give them more information. So that's good to know. We want to make sure that everyone is informed and what's available for them. I had something similar to this at the county, and it's good. So this is good. We're on the ball.
Trustee Osterling?
Question, if we did not adopt this plan, what would we do in the alternative?
I do believe we have to adopt this plan, right, to be in compliance.
Right. There were, from what I understand, there were legislative changes, and the plan had not been forwarded to the college to be adopted by the board. It is our option for our adjunct faculty to choose this, to enroll in it. It is something that we should move forward and approve.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, one. How does this compare with what other colleges have for their adjunct faculty? Uniform or?
I'm not sure. I don't see her. That's a question I would have to get back to you on.
We can provide you with that answer if you want.
Are there, off the top of your head, are there other programs that are similar to this that are offered at other colleges? I guess that's the repeating.
Yes.
Yes.
I believe so, but I don't know that to be completely 100% the answer. So
Okay.
I would have to get back to you.
Okay, we'd like to hear back. Thanks.
So I'll move approval.
Moved by Trustee Brown,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Fellow. Any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, we are now on item I, adoption resolution number 548, authorizing submission of 4 final project proposals. Item J. 4 final project proposals of A3 category projects to California Community Colleges, Chancellor's Office to repair C, D, E buildings and replace the W building.
It is important for the college to submit this FFP, this proposal to the State Chancellor's Office, because should money become available at the State Chancellor's Office and we have not submitted our FPPs, we will not qualify to receive any money. And also later on, I mean, if our proposals are there and we come up with some money, we can always leverage the money that we have to receive additional money from the state to fix those buildings. And therefore, we are asking that you submit, you authorize us to submit the proposals to repair building C, D, E, and W to the state.
Discussion by the board?
Yes. This is entirely apart from any funding that might come from the bond issue that's going to go on the ballot in November?
Probably that money will come from that.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. So when you say from the Chancellor's Office, you mean the
state bond.
The $2 billion share that
yes,
goes
the
to
$2 billion that
colleges?
will go to
Right,
community
okay.
colleges, yes.
Any other questions?
Before I move approval, I would sure be happy to see that auditorium restored. So I move approval.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Brown, seconded by Trustee Selvage. Any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item K, 2016 California Community College Trustees, Triple CT Board Election Superintendent. Oh, well, actually, it's not the superintendent. This is for me.
It's for you.
Okay, so you have an insert, and it is my recommendation of the vote for the ballot. So I am recommending that we vote for all incumbents, which leaves 2 remaining positions. So many of you have received the election items, election materials for several other trustees. I make my recommendation based on a couple of things. So one is I did confer with our SANFAC sister colleges and other trustees and how they saw the qualifications. And basically, I recommend based on whether or not we have sufficient coverage in geographic representation, I guess in the trustees on the board, which is something of concern to us, as well as diversity, and also whether or not there has been those who have put themselves up for election have shown and demonstrated participation in the league activities and have shown leadership in the league activities. So I make 2 additional recommendations. One is for Trustee Andra Hoffman from the LACCD. Trustee Hoffman has been, even though she's a first-year trustee at LACCD, she is a longtime employee of Glendale Community College, has shown great leadership just in the very short time that she has been an LACCD trustee. And LACCD is one of our largest community college districts. Well, it is the largest community college district, I think, in the nation. And I think that the trustees in the league have long felt that we would like to see representation from LACCD. The second recommendation I make is for Mary Figueroa, who is from the Riverside Community College District. Mary was formerly on the CCCT, and she was termed out, but she has been on the ACCT National Board and has done taken a number of leadership positions, including diversity in programs throughout the CCCT. In fact, was very helpful for California getting 4 of our own trustees on the director positions at the national level. So based on that, I recommend Mary Figueroa.
Madam President, I like your recommendations, and I also commend you for really looking at the regions, and I think every Southern California region is included, and I'll move this item.
Thank you, Trustee Fellow. May I have a second?
And I'll second it.
Seconded by Trustee Brown. Any discussion? Any further discussion?
Just a quick discussion. I commend you for recommending 6 out of the 8 candidates are women. And I also wanted to know just generally about the balance in terms of gender and ethnic diversity on the league. I know that the geographical is important, but what about how are you? What's your sense of that?
So the league recently adopted a term limit, so we are getting newer trustees on the league. So that has been in place now for the last couple of years. So I think in terms of age, you are seeing a change on the trustee representation. In terms of ethnicity and gender, I think we're very well balanced for gender. On ethnicity, we are not totally in balance, and that has been of some concern on the league. Many of you know that I'm one of the co-founders of the Asian American Trustees and Administrators Caucus, and in my leadership in that role, I have worked with the African American, the Latino, and the Veterans Caucus to come together and to identify common issues that we would support. Those include representation of diversity from those caucuses, and we will be meeting at the Rancho Conference at the end of this month to further discuss this with the executive director of the league.
Thank you.
No further discussion from the board. May I have the advisory vote to approve?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, we are now at item L, approval of cancellation of the October 5th, 2016 Board of Trustees meeting, and this was based on the conflict with the ACCT conference. The recommendation was made by Trustee Osterling at our last meeting. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Phil.
Just the only discussion is I want to acknowledge Jim Osterling for asking in the staff report why we were canceling this in the first place. And the reply from the president was, because you asked for it.
That's true, but actually, I was confused, honestly, but wasn't this also going to be a meeting where we had a work session? And so the point of my question is that we need to reschedule that if it's not going to be at this time.
The reason why we're not rescheduling it is it would mean that we would have board meetings 2 consecutive weeks. And whatever would have been done on that day would be reported to the next board meeting.
So let me just finish this then. This was moved by Trustee Fellow and seconded by Trustee Selvage, correct? Okay. Also, I think that in our previous discussion, we said that if we felt that there was an opportunity or we needed to reschedule for either a study session, we could use that opportunity. So I believe that option is still open, and we can evaluate that when we go a little farther down the line. I think the executive officers will be meeting on a couple of issues. One is we do need to schedule a second board retreat and setting our goals, and that perhaps could be in another meeting. So we can discuss that more. Okay, no further discussion by the board. May I have advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Say
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, we are now at the information items. Item M, the Superintendent President's Report.
Well, thank you, President Wah. Last week, we hosted a visiting team of technical experts who provided input on our curriculum processes at the college. And they discussed about reasons for proposing, approving courses and instruction. It was a very productive meeting attended by most of the faculty senate members, the curriculum committee members, and also administrators. It was a great chance for the college to come together and discuss this topic. I'd like to express my thanks to Dr. Kathy Scott for leading this discussion and to all the faculty and staff that took part in it. It showed that this college is working together to make sure that we have the proper, appropriate curriculum for our students. Our student services area has been notified of 2 pending grants. Our Upward Bound program will receive a grant of $220,000 from the California Community Foundation for student support activities related to Upward Bound programs. And we also found out last Friday that PCC was one of the 43 colleges in the state to receive funding through the Basic Skills and Student Outcomes Transformation Program. And we do believe that we submitted a wonderful application, and also we as an institution, we have provided the appropriate kind of support for our students to move them from basic skills to the college-level classes. And for those of you who read the governor's budget, you will find on page 49 of that budget that PCC is listed as one of the top 5 institutions in the state of California, as mentioned by the governor himself, to have moved students from basic skills to transfer-level courses. Earlier on in the room, we had Professor Jamal Ashraf, and David Wu was with him. And David Wu will be spending 8 weeks this summer working at the University of Houston in the lab run by Professor Aaron Becker, thanks to an internship fully paid by NASA and the University of New Mexico. We are proud to say that this is the caliber of this institution, where we have our faculty and our students bringing us national attention. Also, from the athletics area, we have starting softball catcher Holly Reichel Sloan is the 2016 recipient of the 3CFA Achievement Award. This award is generated by the California Community College Counselors, Advisors, Academic Association to go to a student athlete who has overcome significant personal and or family challenges to succeed in spite of these obstacles. Holly received a kidney transplant in 2013, and when complications from a surgery prevented her from playing, she used the time to focus on schoolwork, often completing assignments while others in the treatment center slept. Our athletic department and the entire college are proud of her achievement. And I must also add that we have several of our female athletes in basketball and volleyball who have received scholarships to four-year institutions. Our welding students also, under the direction of Misty Henry, continue to impress with their achievements. They just came back from the statewide Skills USA competition, and I'm pleased to announce that they have taken first prize in the welding sculpture category. And also second-year student Roseanne Rivera was named PCC's first ever recipient of the Juan Lara Exemplary Achievement Award, which is the top prize given to an honors student by the Honors Transfer Council of California. In her nomination essay, Roseanne described her upbringing in a broken home in Santa Ana. She had her first child at age 13, moved out of her mother's house at age 17, and ended up adopting her 4 brothers and sisters at the age of 21 when her father passed away. Today she is an occupational therapy major with a steady 3.5 GPA and is an example for her peers of the power of education. Hiring is in full swing at the college. I'm very proud to say that we have made 5 offers already. one for jazz, one for biology, one for anatomy, and 2 for library. And we've also, we will be bringing this to the board for approval at the next board meeting because we had to verify some paperwork. For Chief of Police, we are recommending Chief Stephen Machan for the post of Chief of Police at the college. Chief Suarez of the Pasadena Police Department says that under the leadership of Chief Machan as an interim police chief, the college has made significant progress in improving relationship with the community and with the Pasadena Police Department. And I must also say that Chief Machan has stepped up on 2 different occasions to assume the position of interim chief of police, and the latest run was for a period of almost 2 years. And we are also accelerating the pace for the hiring of other administrators. We are currently interviewing, my understanding is that interviews are going on right now for the Vice President of Human Resources. And on the 18th, interviews will take place for the position of Assistant Superintendent, Vice President of Instruction, and interviews are also going on for several deans' positions. And I know faculty are very, very busy right now because there are 45 other faculty positions being recruited. And I see Dr. Foster is staring at me and knowing on how many committees she herself is right now. Next week, not next week, it is next week, or maybe the week after that, then it's on April 19th, we have the superintendent and principal's luncheon. We are making this a practice at Pasadena City College to have this luncheon on a semester basis because it is important for us as an institution to stay in touch with the leaders of the high schools of our district. The luncheon is from 11 to 12:30, April 19th, and if your schedule permits, we would like for the board to join us. Tomorrow, a whole group of faculty and staff from Pasadena City College tomorrow evening will be flying to Chicago. And as you know, in the fall semester, we received an invitation to go to Houston under the Lumina Foundation with all expenses paid for a team of administrators, faculty, and staff to be trained on how to work together to move the institution forward. And tomorrow we've been invited to come back because on Friday we will be giving a presentation on what we have done at the college after we received that training at the AACC conference. And the expenses for the people not attending the conference will be borne by the Lumina Foundation. And I will be going with the team, and on Friday morning, I will be, as a member of as a commissioner on the Commission for Leadership and Professional Development, we have our meeting in Chicago at the convention from 8 to 12, and then on Sunday, under the able leadership of Salomon Davila and members of his staff, including Lionel Wiggins, Rochelle Howard, and Deborah Bird, we will be making a presentation on the work that we are doing at Pasadena City College to move students from the K-12 system to the college and to the workforce. Our presentation is on Sunday from 10 to 11:45, right, Salomon? Okay. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, President Verdian. We are now on announcements. Item N, announcements by the shared governance representatives and the Board of Trustees. We'll start with the Classified Senate. Ms. Cantaro.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deborah Cantorero, and I'm the president of the Classified Senate currently. I have 3 things to announce. For one, we're in our election process for the Classified Senate, so those ballots, nominations have already gone out and come back, and ballots will go out the week of the 18th. So we'll have some new senators to announce very soon. In addition, we're ramping up for our student scholarship. The due date on the student scholarship is going to be at the end of April 29th. And we process the student scholarship through the academic works that we were speaking about earlier. So every year the Classified Senate gives away one student scholarship, and this year it's $500. So if you know any students who need scholarships, have them contact us and we'll direct them to the appropriate place in the academic works. Also, I know Felicia let you know that we're sending some delegates to CLI, the Classified Leadership Institute, in June. And in addition to senators, we're also going to send 3 to 4 full-time classified staff across campus to the Classified Leadership Institute to promote leadership with the classified staff and promote networking amongst our own people and through the statewide Senate. As I think some of you know, I'm an area rep for the statewide classified Senate, so I'm very active at that level. And so I want to get more participation from PCC. We've kind of in the last few years haven't been so active, so we're trying to gear up and have a better presence at the statewide level too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Quintero. Mr. Fettner, Management.
Yeah, the MA has no report this evening.
Thank you. Dr. Foster, Academic Senate.
Okay, good evening. Well, since Deb mentioned their elections, I'll mention our elections. Our ballots are due tomorrow, so we will know who the executive committee of the Academic Senate is tomorrow evening. I'd like to thank the board and the president for acting so quickly on the executive committee's decision to incorporate faculty feedback in the evaluation. We really, really appreciate that, and I'm sure all of the faculty will appreciate the return to transparency. So thank you. Just to let you know, at our last meeting, we reviewed part of the follow-up report for accreditation. We've approved recommendations 1 through 4. And at the meeting on Monday, we will review recommendations 5 through 9. So I'm confident that that will move through the faculty part of shared governance in a timely manner. Also, a couple of Fridays ago, we had our equity retreat that Cynthia so generously supported, and I found it very informative. I think the senators that did attend were really impressed. It exceeded our expectations, and so I just want to let you know that all of the equity retreats that are happening with the Q people are phenomenal, and I'm really looking forward to collaborating with Cynthia and all of the leaders who have attended those retreats to actually do something, do the next step. And then finally, we're going to have our Senate banquet on April 29th at El Torito. So tickets are on sale if you'd like to purchase one at the student bank. They're $35, and they do include a drink ticket, which is awesome. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Foster.
Could I ask a quick question? Since I'm an election junkie, what are generally your participation rates from the faculty on your Senate elections?
I would say no more than 2/3 of the faculty generally. I think that was what the number was last year, but I really don't recall exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Quick question. Could you repeat the information on your event? I missed the details.
Yeah, the Senate banquet dinner is going to be at El Torito on April 29th. Okay. The tickets are $35, and they're on sale at the I believe it's the student bank that's above the bookstore.
Thank you.
It includes a drink, you said?
It does include a very large margarita.
Point of clarification.
Yeah, I think that was the clincher there, Dr. Foster. Okay, Trustee Osterling.
Briefly, we received an update on the bond refunding opportunity from Mr. Simoneschi, and I wanted to thank you for the update and all of the work that's led up to this. And at the current estimates, that should save our property taxpayers somewhere in the range of $7 million. So we appreciate your efforts and the update. The only thing that I would ask, I know that there's a really super formal process that you have to go through to do this, and it culminates with the refunding being completed in early to mid-May. And I would just encourage you, without shortcutting any of the steps, to get through that as quickly as possible while the capital markets remain favorable, without shortcutting any steps. Then secondly, on Friday, there's a presentation by a group called Innovate Pasadena, and I alerted Dr. Verdian to this. and it's on STEAM education and the underserved in our community. And I'd like to have PCC really reach out and network with this group, because these are employers in the areas of science and technology locally here. So thank you for having someone join that meeting, and I'll be there myself. Thank you.
Perhaps you can send a flyer out in case the other trustees want to attend.
I'll forward something to all of the trustees.
Thank you.
That's this Friday morning at 8 o'clock.
Trustee Martin.
I wanted to thank the administration and Joe Semenechi for the claims report that I had been asking for. I think I may have missed a couple pages, so maybe we can just cross-check after the meeting, but I appreciate getting that. It was very informative and very helpful.
We removed some of those pages at the last minute because of confidentiality.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why but we didn't have the time to redo the front page memo to remove that portion of it.
Okay,
Right.
well, thank you, because the title to the inserts didn't match. So, but it was a really good report, so thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Martin. Trustee Fellow.
Thank you. I'm sure Trustees Osterling and Selvage will join me and their wives in thanking Dean Arwin and Dr. Young and the music department for an outstanding evening of the music and the professional in residence. It was a wonderful evening, and the reception was very nice, and it was a class act. Thank you.
I heard it was wonderful.
Ditto.
Yes. Trustee Selvage.
These gentlemen have already covered a couple of points that I was going to cover, but I would like to draw people's attention to the fact that April 7th of every year is National Tartan Day by a resolution of Congress.
National what?
Tartan, like this.
Tartan.
Some might call it plaid.
For those Scots.
Right, those
I thought that was an Irish
ancestry
deal.
from the Highlands of Scotland, and I can't.
This
I'm
explains
disappointed
it.
that Dr. David Douglas is not here tonight, because I have seen him on Tartan Day in the past in his kilt.
Thank you, Trustee Selvage. So, Trustee Hilsman.
Well, I'm mostly Irish, so I don't know. I have nothing to add.
Thank you,
I have no
Trustee Brown.
report. No
Trustee
report.
Bond.
I'll keep my announcements brief, as we did have a wonderful presentation by the Associated Students on campus life and campus issues. Since it is scholarship season, I'm very happy to say that there is a continuous stream of opportunities for students to apply. So thank you for all the monies that, is circulating. In addition, I'm pleased to report that the Association of Student Trustees has also put out their own scholarship, and we have selected 5 winners to distribute these scholarships to further their education. So scholarships are great. Thank you.
Great report. I want to thank Trustee Osterling also for getting his board activity report in. This is helpful for the college to document that the trustees are out and about, and also so we can keep our report straight. I want to thank the Academic Senate, the faculty, and the classified staff, and the FA for joining the board with coffees, and we really enjoyed seeing you all and hearing from you. Then I also wanted to, a couple of events to note. So on this Saturday, the AUW, so the Association of American University Women, will be hosting a Tech Savvy event here at PCC at 9 o'clock. And so I think it's mostly the young women, young female students of Pasadena Unified, Temple City, and El Monte. So it's to promote technology readiness and savviness for young women. And then on April 25th, LACSTA will have their workforce program. I hope you will all attend. We will have a student forum, so I hope to see if the PCC students would be willing to attend. And we'll have the 2 representatives from the student representatives from the Board of Governors will also be here as part of the student voice. So it should be a really engaging program, and we'll also have elections. So crossing our fingers for Trustee Osterling to be on the board. So, and that concludes my report. So at this time, let's see, we have proposed future board meeting dates. April 21st on Thursday, so we will be meeting at 6 o'clock with Pasadena Unified School District. Wednesday, May 4th is our regular board meeting, and May 18th. So guess everybody's okay with that. Any proposed future agenda items from the board? So with that, we will adjourn meeting.